Hey, it's Sheila from To Love, Honor, and Vacuum, and welcome to another edition of Ask Sheila, and we are going to talk about initiating sex and when you just don't feel very sexually confident today. It's going to be fun. But first, I need to tell you one thing. So the latter part of August, when you're probably watching this, I'm actually in Kenya on a medical missions trip with my husband and my mother and my daughter and my son-in-law, and it's all very great. So I've scheduled a bunch of things to air while I'm gone, and you're going to see the videos out of order. So I just got my hair cut right before we left, and in a couple of videos that are still coming up in a couple weeks, I'll have much longer hair. So if you're wondering why, that's why. I want to tackle a question today that I get from a lot of you. And here's a woman, and here's what she says. I need help with one big thing, initiation. I've read the blog about that just this morning, and I've got a whole bunch of different ones on initiating. Here's one on like 10 ways to signal yes to your husband, and I will put a link to this in the bottom. I've got top 10 ways to initiate, how to tell your husband what you like in bed. So I don't know which one she's talking about, but she recently read it anyway, and she totally agrees with it. But what she couldn't relate to were the actual initiation tips, and this is where she struggles. She doesn't talk that way, nor does she act that way, and she finds it very hard to be sexually, verbally, and physically. Now, don't get me wrong, she says, I love being physically intimate with my husband. The problem is me. We've been married for almost a decade, and he's never given me any reason to feel embarrassed or ashamed or that I'm not attractive. Any fantasy he's ever thought of, I've done. Except this, I just can't initiate. And I know it's not complicated, and it's not like it's the human body I'm scared of. I'm a nurse. I've seen and touched more penises than you can imagine. I don't know what it is that makes it so hard for me to initiate. So something that I would like to see is different ideas on initiation. Like, not stuff where I think I would never do that or who does that, but stuff that I could actually do. So good question. And I looked back over those posts on how to initiate and how to signal yes to your husband, and the stuff that I was suggesting wasn't like X-rated. It was like having code words for I'm in the mood tonight, or lighting a candle if you want to tell him that, yeah, like let's do something, or come watch TV wearing nothing but your robe. In Canada we would say house coat, but I think for you Americans that makes you conjure up pictures of nursing homes. But like things that aren't necessarily that X-rated, but she's having trouble with even those. So I gotta tell you, your problem is not with initiation. It really isn't, because those things that I've talked about, they're not that outlandish. I think when you're having a problem with these things, when you read all the suggestions and you just can't picture yourself doing them, it's not the ideas that are the problem. It's the fact that you do not see yourself as a sexual being. Okay, and I know that sounds harsh, but I think a lot of us just don't have any sexual confidence. Like, we really don't. And some of that, I think, is due to how we see our bodies. I put this up on Instagram recently. It really bugged me, but I was in a store and there were two magazine covers, Women's Health and Men's Health, right beside each other in the store, like right beside each other. And one was this naked woman and one was John Krasinski. And everyone loves John Krasinski, okay? You gotta love your Jim and Pam relationship goals from The Office. Like, okay, John Krasinski's awesome, but nevertheless, like, that's a big discrepancy there, and sometimes that double standard does get to me, and no wonder we women don't feel great about our bodies. So sometimes it could just be that we have a difficult time enjoying our bodies. But I think for most of us it goes even deeper than that, which is that we can't see ourselves as sexual beings, because that's what initiation means. Initiation is saying to your husband, hey, you know what, I'm kind of in the mood and I'd like to do something. Many of us can react when our husband is the one who initiates, because that doesn't take us outside our comfort zone. That doesn't necessarily say anything about me and how I see sex, because, hey, I'm just responding to you. But when we initiate, we're actually saying something about what we think about sex. We're actually saying, I'm in the mood. And a lot of us just aren't able to do that. It's like there's this huge block where I don't see myself in that way. I don't see myself as someone who could possibly be in the mood or could tell someone else, hey, you know what I'd really like is I would like to do this. And so the problem is not with initiation. The problem is how you see yourself. So how do we get past that? How do we get to the point where you can see yourself as a sexual being? It's okay to enjoy your body. It's okay to like the fact that your body can feel good. You were designed for this. You were designed for great passion. And that means you know, that you're going to feel a little bit out of control. That's a good thing. That you're going to want to be carried away by something else. That's a good thing. That's how God made you. And I think we have this vision that like the good girl is one way and the sexy girl is another way, and they don't match at all. But actually, I think hot and holy go together really well. And I have a great post to this, which I will put a link to in the bottom. But, you know, hot really means passionate. It means that you are willing to be carried away by something, that you're not always trying to second guess yourself. You're not trying to stay in control. And that's what God made sex to be like. And I think it's because God also wants us to feel passionate about Him. Like He wants us to not always have to be in control. And so He made sex so that we would understand a little bit that we don't need to always be thinking, okay? It's okay to sometimes just feel. It's okay to give in to these passions that we do have. And you're never going to be able to feel that about yourself if you aren't able to be vulnerable and if you aren't able to see yourself that way. So really the only way around this is to start looking at yourself and saying, am I trying to be in control all the time? Do I have a difficult time when I don't know what's going on, when I don't know what I'm supposed to do next, when I feel like other people are looking at me or judging me? If you have a hard time with any of those things, you're going to have a hard time initiating sex, because initiating sex means that you got to let your guard down and you have to not be second guessing yourself, not be trying to be proper all the time. So it could be that you have a problem with vulnerability and not being in control. It could be that you just have a problem with your body. You know, she says that that's not her issue, and maybe it isn't for her, but for you it might be. You know, like those magazine covers say. And maybe you just need to say to yourself, you know what? God made me to enjoy my body with my husband. And I am not going to let our culture, which has so degraded sex and which has given women such pressure to look a certain way, our culture does not deserve the power to rob you of the enjoyment that you're supposed to take in your body, okay? So don't give your culture that kind of power, and it's okay to like some of your body parts. You know, get some really pretty underwear, buy a nightgown that shows a lot. You know, make yourself feel a little bit sexually confident. Most of us will feel a lot more sexually confident in a nightgown than we will naked. So get a really cute nightgown that makes you feel not just pretty, but actually sexy. You know, show some cleavage. Let it hang out a bit. Like just get something that makes you feel, yeah, I rock this, okay? Think about your body during the day. You know, get some nice underwear. It's okay to realize, yeah, I like the way my body feels. That's a good thing. And then the third thing is just to realize that sex is good. All right? Good girls can like sex. Good girls are supposed to like sex. God made good girls to seriously enjoy sex. And it is part of our culture that we've got this idea that good girls don't enjoy sex. But actually, if you look at the Bible, it was kind of assumed that women would enjoy sex. So, you know, start telling yourself positive messages about the fact that sex is good for you, that you were created to be a sexual being, and really own those things. And then finally, I would just say practice. You know, you may feel totally awkward initiating. You may feel like, this is not me. I can't do this. No one talks this way. Actually, believe me, a lot of people do, and it doesn't mean that they are slutty. It doesn't mean any of those things. It just means that they know how to enjoy their husbands and they know how to enjoy their marriage. So just try it. Take a deep breath some night, you know, and try it. Go down and watch TV in your robe, not your house coat, your robe, with nothing on underneath, and see if he notices, okay? You know, just walk around the house some night just in your bra and underwear. Just start kissing him. Like, it doesn't have to be a big thing, but he will appreciate it, and he will feel so important if you show him, I don't just want to respond to you, I actually desire you. It's important in a marriage, and I know it might be hard, but step outside your comfort zone. This stuff matters, and you really can develop sexual confidence. Seriously, I'm going to make a course about this or something, because it's important, but you can be a sexually confident woman. And if you're still struggling with this, read The Good Girl's Guide to Great Sex again, okay? Seriously, read The Good Girl's Guide to Great Sex right there, because there is so much stuff in here about how God made good girls to desire sex and to have a lot of fun. And so if that is not how you see yourself, read the book, start seeing yourself that way, because honestly, you were created for this, and you do not want to miss out on something amazing that God has for you. Thanks for joining me, and come back again next week for another Ask Sheila.